Welcome to Philly, LeBron.
With training camp right around the corner, two things I expect to happen. Jalen Carter to get an extension, and Cooper DeJean to make the big move. Dallas still stinks. By the way, I kick things back here. We are almost at training camp, baby. We're almost there. In my head, I'm already gone. It is time to get this season on with. It is time to shut up the mother humpers and go out and play. I'm busting, man. I'm busting for some football, for some training camp. Let's get it started. It is going to get crazy next week because the Eagles have camp. And look, there are a few things that I think are very interesting. And there are a few things I think that we've got to watch very, very closely, okay, at camp. First off, let's start a little bit with Jalen Carter because we've heard the rumors that the Eagles may not want to sign him to an extension. They may be looking to get rid of him. They may go out and get Ojomo and sign him to an extension instead of Carter. They put out some, all-access stuff with Ojomo. Is that sort of a signal that they're going to sign Ojomo to an extension and not Carter? I don't believe any of that. I believe Jalen Carter will get an extension. However, the longer you wait, the more it's going to cost you. You guys did see this from a couple days ago, right? Packers agreed to terms with defensive tackle Devontae Wyatt on a 3-year, $57 million extension, which is going to take him through 2029. He is not going to make as much money as Jalen Carter, but every time these guys sign, the price kind of goes up a little bit more. Now, I think that the Eagles, I just don't think Howie Roseman is the type of guy that's going to take a guy in the first round and knowingly know he's never going to sign him to an extension, okay? So, to me, if the Eagles, for some reason, were not willing to sign Jalen Carter to an extension, it would have to be internal stuff that we don't know. I always text me when I'm on here. But there'd be stuff that we don't know, internal stuff within the locker room, things like that. Otherwise, the Eagles are going to extend him. I don't care that they drafted Jordan Davis in the first round, and then they come back and they draft Jalen Carter in the first round. They knew what they were doing, and I think the way you build a defensive line is kind of changing. Because edge rushers are so expensive, I think you're going to start seeing teams really put the money in the interior defensive tackles and then try to go out and get rotational guys at the edge, draft young guys, and let them play. But that interior linemen, those interior linemen are going to be the key to building a defensive line going forward. And to do that, you want two good defensive tackles. That's why I expect Jalen Carter to get signed during camp. And I really believe that part of the reason why he wasn't taking part in all the drills and the stuff like that during OTAs and minicamp is because he's in deep negotiations with the Eagles. They're probably in deep and they don't want to risk anything. So I expect Jalen Carter to get done. How he comes in, how good of shape he is, how healthy, will all play a part. But I think the Eagles need him. I like Ojomo, but he's not Jalen Carter. So we got to keep an eye on that because that's going to be very, very interesting. What else is interesting is this. Check it out. PrizePicks is America's #1 sportsbook app. It is the best app to use while watching sports. Plus, the great thing about it, it is really easy to use. Just pick a few player stats and lock in your lineup and boom, you're ready to go. Or if you prefer, you can now do team picks. Now, team picks is great. It opens up a ton of options, including picking wins, spreads, all sorts of things, as I'm going to show you in a second. Plus, PrizePicks is available in almost all 50 states, including California, Texas, and Florida. Now, as I was saying, when you look at the team picks, they often have a bunch of different options to choose from. One of the ones that I want to touch on today is the stage of elimination for football teams this coming season, specifically the Cowboys. Why? Because this is, to me, easy guarantee. Okay, this is easy. I have the Dallas Cowboys. I am taking them to not make the playoffs. That's right. I am taking the Cowboys to not make the playoffs. I'm locking in that lineup, and boom, it is ready to go. I love this play. I think this is a great guarantee. And if you like this or you want to do something similar, all you have to do is download the link in the description, download the app, and then use promo code HMA when you sign up. And if you play your first $5 lineup and you win, you'll get $150 in lineup credits. That's $150 in lineup credits. All you have to do is play your first $5 lineup and win. That's right. Just use promo code HMA. Link is in the description. Shout out to Prize Picks. So shout out to Prize Picks. It's going to be fun watching the Dallas Cowboys not make the playoffs again. What's your excuse going to be then, Mark? What's it going to be then? That's what I want to know. Now, the other thing I kind of want to talk about is something I think many of us are overlooking or we're not sure of, but I kind of believe that we have seen maybe DeJean at cornerback full time come to an end. I think that all this talk about safety and who are they going to trade for or bring in, I think the Eagles may look at the safety position and say, Cooper DeJean is going to play it. Cooper DeJean is going to play it full time. Now, why do I say that? I go back to this, right? Remember when they had the exciting mics a few weeks ago, they had Vic Fangio on, right? This is what Fangio said, and there's been a lot of interpretation about what he meant and what this means, but the more I think about it, the more I think it is exactly what he says it is. Your days, and this is what he said to Cooper DeJean. Fangio, well, we'll read this part. Fangio comments seemed especially relevant, and the comment was, your days at corner hopefully are over. Okay, Fangio's comments seemed especially relevant given that the star slot corner and the former starting safety shared the screen like they used to share the secondary because they're their podcasts. The context to the statement is that DeJean, a first-time All-Pro in his second season, is an every-down player for the Eagles on most snaps. That means he plays in the slot, where he was considered the best in the NFL. When the Eagles are playing with 5 or 6 defensive backs in that formation, they still want DeJean on the field. The question becomes where he plays. So, the idea is that when the Eagles are in base, he goes to safety because you want to keep him on the field. But I think maybe we need to take Fangio at his word and what he's saying. Hopefully your days at corner are over, at least for the time being, because the plan is put DeJean at safety full time. Now, could DeJean be good at safety? Yes. Cooper DeJean, if he was to move to safety this year, by the end of the year would be a top 3 safety in the league. Easy money, right? I mean, got Mark Holmes out there saying Caleb Downs is going to be a better defensive back than Cooper DeJean. He don't know what the hell he's talking about, right? But Cooper DeJean, in my opinion, could play safety right now. And right, we talked about DeJean going into the draft the year he was coming out, and we talked about how to use him, and it was simple. Cooper DeJean can't be looked at as just a slot corner. He can't be looked at as just a safety. He has to be looked at as a defensive weapon, a playmaking defensive weapon. Because Cooper DeJean, he can play every position in the secondary. And I think the ultimate goal is to eventually get him to that point. As he gets more and more experience in this league, I think you'll see him get snaps on the outside. I think he'll, when needed, get snaps in the slot. He'll get snaps at the safety position. I think they're transitioning him to safety right now. I think this does a few things. One, I think this makes it easier to extend him because how are you going to pay and what are you going to pay Cooper DeJean as a slot corner? Slot corners don't make the money that outside corners make. DeJean probably going to want to get paid as an outside corner. Moving him to safety makes it a little easier to sign him as a safety. But when you look at Cooper DeJean as a defensive back, he is probably top 3 best defensive backs in the league at tackling, all right? He's a great tackler. He can cover. He can blitz. He can do it all. So he is a perfect fit for safety. But I think the ultimate down the road goal with DeJean, when he hits his prime years and stuff, I think it's to make him a Swiss Army knife. You take him and you say, all right, we need you on the tight end this week. Next week, we need you a matchup on the outside. We need you at safety. Like, you've got to move him all around, okay? You've got to kind of build your defense in that secondary around him, I think. Because, to me, he's a special, special weapon that you use in different ways. And, Q, he, to me, is an outside corner. He's an outside corner. You put him out there, you leave him there, and he goes out and he shuts people down. That's what he does. Cooper DeJean is different, and you just got to use him different. And I think that the Eagles are actually going to use him. The more I think about it, I think they're going to use him at safety full time. I think that we're going to see him transition. I think the reason Michael Carter, because I was thinking Carter was going to go to safety, but now they're going to keep Carter in the slot. And they're going to let Carter and they're going to have other guys compete for that slot corner position. And what Fangio is hoping is that they found or have somebody that could play that slot corner and you can keep them as safety. I'm taking Fangio's statements to mean exactly what it says. Hopefully your days are over. At least this year, I think we're going to see Cooper DeJean at full-time safety. And I think he'll probably be, by the time the year's over, probably top 3 safety in this league. Now, you pair him with Makuba, right? And Makuba continues to take the next step. Man, I mean, it's unbelievable. Cooper DeJean is a special player, and he can play that box safety because he's big enough where he could come up and he could tackle, but he still could cover. He can do it all. You're going to have possibly 2 of the best safeties if Makuba takes the next step and DeJean goes there full time. The more I think about it, I think he's going full time. But we're going to see. I would expect first few weeks of camp, maybe first few days, maybe the first week, I think we'll see him in the slot at safety. But I think as we get into camp and preseason and stuff, I think we're going to see more and more snaps with DeJean at the safety position. We'll see. Going to be an interesting week next week. Can't wait. With that said, take care. Talk to you later, of course. Don't be a dingbat. Remember, it's how we vision, baby. We're all just living in it. Wrestling is back. I'm watching. I'm starting to understand and understand some of the storylines and some of the stuff going on. Oh, my God. I got a lot to say. I really was, this close to doing a channel. Then I'm like, my reviews may be so negative. It may not even be worth putting out. Seriously. Because, man, I got a lot of complaints about the state of wrestling today and how they do things and use guys. There's still some things I gotta watch because it's I don't know enough about the storyline. I don't know enough about Roman Reigns' history or CM Punk or what the other guy's name. I can't remember the other guy's name. I don't remember these guys. But it seems like to me, when you look at the WWE, it seems like to me they're young stars. They're not really out there. Some people might say Obafemi, but to me, and maybe Obafemi will be, but to me, Obafemi is he's like Goldberg push. It's I don't know if I could get into it. I don't dislike Obafemi, but I'm not as into it as some of the other people. So we'll see. A lot to talk about if we decide to do that. Denzel Washington out. That's all, folks.
The brother screwed us.